I implemented our government's emergency response plans. Our military is powerful, and it's prepared.
We've been doing counterterrorism and other soft mission sets for 2 decades, and a lot of us, most of us, that's all we know.
Kuwait has given an update on this evacuation.
Directed completion date of 31 August.
Arrive in the United States.
Troops are among the last to leave among international forces.
Some people will argue that we're already behind on preparing for great power competition. It's by necessity, kind of, because we have been fighting the counter-VEO campaigns for the last 20 years. But at the same time, our near-peer adversaries around the world, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, they've been spending this time already preparing for the competitive phase.
When we look at the future and where we are today, we realize that that force that we've built over the last 20 years that has served us extraordinarily well, doing the things that we've asked it to do for the last 20 years, is not actually the force we're going to need in the future operating environment.
So how do we fit into that? How do we apply the tactics we previously spoke about into this new realm? AFSOC is really performing the actions that are not always seen and that cannot always be attributed to, but is aiding in a greater cause or effect on the battlefield. So, for instance, SOF inherently does things not always in the permissive environments.
When we talk about great power competition, there is a tendency to assume that we're talking about conventional conflict. It may not be that. We don't know what that looks like. It may remain at what's called a competitive atmosphere just below the threshold of armed conflict. And that's actually where SOF thrives. That's where special operations thrives.
I don't think we would be good special operators in AFSOC if we weren't thinking about how we can use those things, electromagnetic spectrum, the cyber domain, certainly on the space domain, to actually exploit our adversaries' weaknesses.
So there are many ways that technology both helps and hurt us in this new fight, right? Because the technology that we have access to is being democratized across the world. So our adversaries have the same technologies for most part that we have access to. That's a challenge.
The proliferation of mobile devices make every one of us easier to find, make our activities easier to track. They reveal information about us. There are lots of cyber opportunities, both in our personal lives, but also in our infrastructure in the United States. So whether it's gas pipelines and transportation infrastructure, our energy infrastructure, all of those things are vulnerable to things like cyber attack.
The plus side of this is we also have a lot of technological resources that we have at our disposal that we can use to train and educate and equip our airmen. Better simulation, for example, maybe virtual reality as part of it. And also, we have technology now that can put more standoff distance between our airmen and our troops in harm's way. For example, using UASs, unmanned aerial systems. Technology can help us, but it's also something we'll have to watch out for. It's a double-edged sword.
With respect to where do we stand in defense against these emerging threats, our airmen are our competitive advantage. And so the question is, for the future, what is the combination of attributes and experiences that our airmen are going to need to have to be successful?
They need to be prepared for not just being aircrew, but they also need to learn to be culturally sensitive diplomats almost.
And this is a place where AI can help us understand what attributes are the best predictors of success in the future. So we have to undertake this change so that 10 years from now, when those middle school kids of today join the Air Force and put on an AFSOC patch, I want to make sure that those middle school kids of today join an AFSOC that is indispensable for the nation.